Hello, this is Howie here at Cedar Creek Homestead. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'm out here today working on the four-wheeler, and it just quit me. I was out in the pasture, and just all of a sudden it died and couldn't get it. It would crank over, but it wouldn't fire, and I'm not a small engine expert. I did cut my teeth, I guess you'd say, as a young boy. I started working for my uncle repairing boat engines. He owned a Evinrude dealership and sold Evinrude boat engines. In fact, when I was a boy, we rigged out the very first Jimmy Houston boat that I know of that he was sponsored by. That's been a very long time ago. And now, of course, he has much bigger and fancier. I don't think he uses Evinrude anymore. I figure it's Mercury, stuff like that. But anyway, this thing just quit me. So I don't claim to be an expert on four-wheelers, but I kind of know some basics. And one thing I have here is a sparker. And you put this in where your spark plug cap that looks like this. You slide it over here. You put this back on your spark plug. And if this sparks, then you're getting fire. Then if this is firing, and you see the little light lighting up in here, then it kind of tells you, and I've used it on this four-wheeler before. I had it quit me several months ago, and I was getting fire, so I decided to take the spark plug out, took it out, and it was so bad, I went and got a new one. It looked awful. It was burnt, and put it on there, and because I was getting fire, that told me all my ignition was okay, and either I'm not getting fuel, if you're getting fire, no ignition, either you got a bad spark plug. You can take your spark plug and hold it out and see if it'll spark on its own, but I just went and got one. Spark plugs are cheap. Put on there, it fixed it. Now I thought, well, my spark plugs probably went bad, so I put my Sparky on there. I call this a Sparky, this little deal. Well, lo and behold, it don't spark at all. So I can't blame fuel. I even tried starting fluid, but if you're not getting ignition, it don't matter how much starting fluid you use, this thing ain't gonna start. So it's a Bear Tracker, Yamaha Bear Tracker, and it's like a 98 model. So it's getting some years on it, and really has not ever had much problems at all, other than I changed that spark plug, and I broke the suspension up front one time. One thing with these is parts are kind of high. If you buy them through the dealerships, they seem to be really high. It's like these parts up here and some of the bushings I had to go through a dealership. But anyway, I ordered this coil. It's the first thing in this ignition system here, what I call the first. If you're going back up towards what I call the power pack, they call it something else, but on boat engines we'd call them power packs, and we call these coils. And sometimes coils get hot and break down, and I've had this thing just die on me and not start for a little while, and then if you wait just a few minutes it always start back. Well, sometimes coils can do that. They get warm and they start shorting through and acting up, but for this just to completely stop. But anyway, coming up to the coil, you have two wires. Now, you folks that are experts on four-wheelers might understand this better. I had a little voltage deal I was going to put on there and see, and it got warm. A little voltage light, like 12 volt DC, and it got warm on me when I was trying to check that. Well, I went online looking, and it sounds like this little power pack, power module, whatever, converts the DC electric actually to AC electric. If I understand right these people's comments. Like I say, I'm not a pro with this, so I don't know, but I figure that's why my wire was getting hot. So I was like, I've got to be getting fire, up to the coil. Anyway, so I ordered this coil over the internet, and it wasn't all that high. I would take this somewhere and get it repaired, but I'd be looking at probably taking it to Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is a pretty good little haul. But this is what the coil one I ordered off of the internet looks just like the one I'm fixing to take off. Even this little end, everything is pretty much the same. So we're going to try this right here. We're going to see if this fixes it. This little four-wheeler probably is not worth $400 or $500. I have probably gotten $10,000 worth of use out of it. It's about $3,000 new. And when it was purchased, I don't know now if they even make Bear Tracker. I know they still make Yamaha. But this has been a dandy little four-wheeler. That's one thing I could say about this particular year and stuff. I could give them for sure 5 stars or 2 thumbs up, because they are definitely making a good, this particular four-wheeler. And I have worked this thing, chasing cattle, going through the creek, up on this mountain up here. I have taken it everywhere, even turned it over one time, and the thing just keeps going, and they make a good product. But anyway, I going to see if I can get it going here, and we're going to put this on here and just try it. I don't like to just be a parts changer, but this thing was like $15 on Amazon, this coil, and it's higher than that if you order it through the dealer. The closest dealer was quite a bit higher than that. And it might be better quality or whatever from the dealer. I have no idea, and I'm not against that, except this was free freight, everything through Amazon. So not touting Amazon, other than they sure seem to make my life easier. When you live out in a rural area, you got to try things. In my business, I hate to go somewhere and someone have everything in a basket. I already tore it all apart and got it in a mess. So, but I'm like, I can't go wrong too much on this. If I did tear it up, I can at least get it back together. I'll know enough to do that. And this definitely isn't going to be anything too bad. It looks like just 2 bolts and takes it out. So we're going to try it. We'll fire it up, see if it works. And if it works, why, if you got a four-wheeler problem, this might help you out on fixing yours. Well, I had to go get my glasses, and I don't know if you folks are going to be able to see this thing or not up in here. This being a foreign mechanism, you know, they like to use the metrics, and I could pretty much just look and tell you the size of standard. But when it comes to this 11, 12, 13 stuff, this is actually going to be a 10. So I just brought a whole handful of these little wrenches over here, and I'm going to take this little booger apart, and we'll see if it not a real big fan of metric, just because I'm not used to it. And I wish we'd either go to one or the other. Everybody go to standard or everybody go to a metric. That would probably make everything a little too easy. And yes, I do have a socket here. I am modernized enough to use a socket. But in my little set right here, there is not a number 10 on either way. You know, my son is gone, but if I had someone to blame this on, I would blame it on him. You know, it's one nice thing being a daddy. You can always blame it on your children. And if they find it later and it's actually somewhere that you put it, you can just say, well, I'm getting old and forgetful, and they can't hardly argue with that too much. Well, I replaced the coil. It didn't fix it. So I'm going to keep this coil though. I went ahead and left the new one on there. I don't know why not. And this thing, as old as it is, it's time for new stuff anyway. The coil was so easy to change, and but it still wouldn't start. So I replaced this little module here. And it's just got quick plugs and one screw that holds it, but it's hidden down in here. And I could have took this whole plastic piece off, and I started to. But what I done, there's just a little bolt here that holds this plastic on, and then I just bent it back here, got right in there, changed this out. On boat engines, we used to call these power packs. They're a little power module. They have a sophisticated name. Probably every brand of four-wheeler has its own name, but this controls the ignition. So anyway, I got it changed, and all I had to do is just put this back. So I had one bolt, and I took this one bolt here so I could pull this plastic back. If you had a real nice new looking four-wheeler, I probably wouldn't do that, but that's what I done. And anyway, while I was at it, when I ordered this, they had the filter, air filter. It just snaps right down in this little box here, just 3 little clips. It's real easy to change. I have cleaned it before. Sorry, my nose is running. It's a little chilly out here today. But anyway, I've cleaned the air filter before, but never put in a new one. And I thought, well, while I'm at it, might as well put in a new one. And I actually have a filter, an oil filter for it too, and I'm planning on changing the oil. I just don't have the oil that it needs here today, so I'm not going to change the oil. But anyway, I'm hoping this will fix her up. So we're going to try her and see, and get it switched on here. And this particular four-wheeler, maybe they're all that way. This is a Yamaha Bearcat. Maybe they're all this way. You got to have your park brake on. So I've got it on, and I'm going to see if it'll start up here. I've got to turn the key on. Hey, listen to that. There, and so there she is. Something else I got here, I'm going to turn the camera just a little bit so you can see a little bit. You can tell I'm very professional with my camera skills. While I was waiting for that little power module, power pack to come in, we had went to visit some family up in Arkansas, and I got gift cards for Christmas. So one of the things I bought was these gun holders here. I've got gun holders up here on the front, and they were cheap, and they just flop everywhere, and they didn't really hold my gun stable. So I just put these on here, and I brought a gun out here to see if I could get it, if it's going to fit in there or not. And so, hey, looky there. Probably have to pull the strap over like that, but that really holds that gun in there really good. I like that. I could probably even do it. Let's see. It comes out pretty easy. You don't want to lose your gun off when you're going out in the pasture, but I mean, it takes something for that to that would put the barrel on up further. I could even go a little bit further probably if I wanted to. Yep, you could do something like that, and the barrel is sure enough on up in front of you if you were concerned about that. Or you could even turn it the other way. I usually do not run around with one in the chamber. I may have one in the clip, but I always keep the chamber clear on a rifle when it's on a four-wheeler, just in case it bounced somehow. I always keep all the safeties on, but I never keep one with one in the chamber. I'm going to do a little target practice in here in a little bit, so I brought these guns out, and I was like, I want to try them on my deal. This is a little smaller rifle. See how it does. Yeah. I think about anything you'd have, shotgun, rifle, whatever, you could fit in that. So I'm really proud of that. And for those that gave me Bass Pro gift cards or Cabela gift cards, now it's all the same. We went to Cabela's actually. but you gave me that. Thank you very much. By the way, to put these on, they are very easy to put on. It's just got 4 screws here, and I used a cordless, got little lock nuts on it so it can't come loose. Lock nuts are very important, especially bouncing around on a 4-wheeler. As you can tell, the only play, it's not on the where it's found, it's just where this thing is stuck in there, just a little bit of play. But it even has little deals you can snap over here, but those I know will not last, and I'm not going to worry about even putting them on here. It's so tight the way it holds the gun, it'll be fine. I don't always carry a rifle here. I used to just have a pistol, but if you're out, if you got a ranch, most ranchers have some kind of firearm, because there's always something going on, coyotes or whatever. And so anyway, now when I want to, and sometimes I go hunting and I'll want to transport my gun, and if you got some kind of a high-powered rifle with a real nice scope, you don't really want it bouncing around a lot. So if you put it here and you go out to your deer stand or wherever you're going to hunt, give me a good way to hold that down. I didn't share the brand of this because I'm not advertising for nobody. I'm just saying these, we're not that big of a channel. And I'll also show you something else I made, and turn the camera, do my professional camera move again. I've showed this on a video before, but I made this based off of a guy named Okie Rob. You may have heard of him. If you haven't, check out his channel. He's a Oklahoma guy here. But anyway, this thing will come out real easy. All I got to do is pull a pin and it'll pop out. But I can carry me a roll of bobble. And I seen he had him something kind of like this. So I took an old disc blade and welded me a pipe in the center, and well, this, it don't look real pretty, but it slides right in here in these bars on this back end of this old 4-wheeler. And whenever you hook up to unroll wire, if you're familiar with fencing, you just get your wire. If you want some wire, you just grab a Holt and this will spin out. You can hook it. If you're building a fence, you can stick your roll in there and hook. This thing will just unroll just perfect every time. But anyway, I really like that. It's I even built me one similar to it, but I've got it to fit on my drawbar of my tractor, and so I can slide it in on the drawbar, and my tractor will unroll. This one just slides in here, but when I'm working on it, all I got to do is pull one pin. I've never had this thing come off, never had it break. Absolutely no problems. It's amazing how it fit in there. But he had made one something like that, and I said, man, that would be so handy, because I'm out a lot of times checking the cows and the fence might be broke, and I carry pliers and all that, but the bob wire is kind of a pain to carry. I also have baskets that I put up here, and I'll have to put them back. I just hold these baskets on with these, I call them Japanese handcuffs. They're just little clips. Now that I have put this gun thing on here, I may not be able to get all 3 of my baskets on there, but if I can't, that'll be perfectly fine. I may just center these 2 up here like that and just have 2 baskets. Now what I used to do, I used to feed the cows off this thing, and I could put 3 buckets up front and 3 back here, and I can still do that. If I need to, I'll feed the cows with this little rig up here, but now I can still get 5 buckets in here if I wanted. But I usually carry a bucket with fencing supplies, stuff like that in there. I've got the bucket in the farm truck right now, because while this thing was broke down, I used it. But I carry old fencing pliers and just various things. Some of this stuff actually needs cleaned out, but anyway, just a little bit about what I got rigged up on my 4-wheeler. I'd say my 4-wheeler is probably the most handiest tool that I have here on the farm. Probably the thing I use the most, and I'd hate to buy a new one. I looked at some new ones. up at Bass Pro, and I just really like the way this old dude rides, the way it is built, and the way it handles. It's not too big, and it's not too little. It's just really the perfect size for what I do here. If I had any preference, I think if it was four-wheel drive, and there's probably been a half a dozen times that I could have used four-wheel drive. Otherwise, just in two-wheel here, it's a rear-wheel drive thing, it works just great. Anyway, hey, I appreciate you watching today, watching me try to attempt to repair a Yamaha Bearcat four-wheeler. I was trying to, I think I told you the other day the year of this thing. It's actually a 2000 model. It was bought in '99, but it was a 2000 model. I pulled out the owner's book and everything, and the receipt. It was purchased down in Fort Smith, Arkansas, but it has been a dandy, and it's been here on this piece of property all this time, and I've had a few little things I broke on it, but it's always been easy to fix. And this ignition thing had me a little bit concerned because it probably would have cost me no telling what. I would say probably $300 or $400 to repair it, and I have with the coil and the other thing, I've spent a little over $50 here. Well, with the air filter now, I'm up around $60 in getting this thing renovated and back up and going. So, hey, I appreciate you watching. God bless you. We'll see you next time here at Cedar Creek Homestead. We're gone.